there. Thanks for joining me. I'm Natalie. This is Ask Natalie. And this week I got a lovely letter from a woman who uses the initial S. And S says, "Dear Natalie, what is the best advice or takeaway message you've gotten from a woman you hardly knew? I have found that sometimes you can learn some of the most valuable things from someone passing on through your life." So I love this question. It got me reflecting and reminiscing and feeling a whole lot of gratitude toward all of the wise, wonderful women I've encountered in my life, and I'm very lucky to be related to many of them. But S asked about women I hardly knew in particular. So the first one that came to mind was advice or wisdom or just something that stuck with me that I got from one of my high school teachers. She was my advanced placement American history teacher, and her name was Mrs. Youngblood. So Mrs. Youngblood from Ohio, if you ever see this video, I think you are freaking awesome and you had a very positive impact on me. So what Mrs. Youngblood said, I think she picked up on the fact that I was this sort of overly thoughtful and incredibly mouthy, smart-ass punk rock kid. And I really wasn't comfortable in high school, especially the high school I went to, which was very status-oriented. There were a lot of rich kids at that school, and I certainly wasn't a super rich kid, and I just didn't really like it there, felt like I belonged. I think it's a pretty similar story to anyone who has ever been a teenager. So Mrs. Youngblood really caught on to that. And she told me once, she said, "The thing about having style is that it often distracts from lacking substance." And of course, you know, I was this riot girl of a teenager, so I'm like, yeah, whatever. I didn't know what she was saying. Also, I probably was annoyed that she was even looking at me because I was a teenager. But she clarified, she went on and she said, "Where there is style, look for substance. If you don't find substance, resolve to be the person who has both. Don't be the woman who has style without substance." I always thought that was, you know, that was too profound for me at the time. I think I latched onto it. Of course, I still remember it 20 some years later. But as time has gone on, the wisdom of her message has grown for me. And so ever since then, I've always kept in mind that it doesn't matter how pretty the package is, you know, whether it's my appearance, my objects like my car, my house, or the words I say. You know, I can craft a message that looks beautiful, but if it's flimsy and hollow, it's style without substance. And I definitely prefer to be the substantial person with a little glitz if I get that option. Certainly substance over style is more important. The other piece of advice or wisdom that I got from somebody I barely knew was from an outdoor internet group, actually. And it was not too long ago, in my relatively recent past. I was still getting used to solo hiking. And every time I went out solo hiking by myself, I always felt anxious. I was just racked with anxiety and I couldn't really figure out why. I certainly had the skills, I was familiar with the area, but I always felt really on edge. And so I took to this outdoorsy internet group and asked, you know, how do you guys think I can handle this? What's some advice you have? And this somewhat older woman, maybe of my mom's generation, she chimed in and shared some of her experiences, which were very validating to me. But then she said, "Focus on your breathing and your own strength. Believe you can handle what you find on the path. Keep trusting your instincts. You're doing great." And I think we need to tell women that more often, because I eventually realized through thinking about this and hiking a whole lot of miles in the wilderness by myself, I realized that it wasn't, for me, the anxiety wasn't coming from a place of legitimate danger. It was coming from a place where I had been hearing for 30, nearly 40 years that as a woman, I was more at risk, more vulnerable, more in danger, and I had internalized that message. And it was coming out in the form of anxiety when I was alone on the trail and couldn't distract my mind from it. It had nothing to do with being ill-prepared or unknowledgeable or making stupid mistakes or not being aware. It was simply this flimsy message I'd been getting for decades coming out in the form of anxiety when I was out there. So getting that reassuring message that I was doing great and to focus on my own strength and to empower myself was really nice. It was very timely. She said exactly what I needed to hear. And then as a bonus, she followed it up with a quote by Bertrand Russell, which is, "Rational apprehension of danger is necessary, fear is not." And I appreciate the little bit that she put into my fearless jar. It's quotes and words of wisdom from other people that really helped me tackle any fears I have, especially when it comes to the outdoors. So I would like to hear from you. I am just one out of 7 billion people on this planet who have been privy to others' wisdom. Let us know what your favorite bits of wisdom from someone passing through your life is. You can reach us at our Facebook page, via comments below, via email at asknatalie@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. And I'd like to take a little bit of your wisdom and sprinkle it on my life too. We can share. It'll be fun. Let us know. Get in touch. We want to hear from you. I will see you next week.